forgetting I'm way more complex. Yeah, I got them sharp edges, I'm solid as ice. But I break all the time. If I were a different girl, it'd be simpler, that's for sure. Wouldn't it be nice to be a cool and always keep it breezy? Ooh yeah, but I am not that easy. No, I am who I am, and I am a lot to handle. You do the best you can, but I am an uphill battle. Like it's my job to get so emotional. Hell, it's my business to get so emotional. About to lose it, just below the surface. Oh, yeah. Walking around with a knot in my stomach. Got you so high, but we're ready to plummet. Going down, going down, going down, going down. Oh, but if I were a different girl, it'd be simpler, that's for sure. Oh, wouldn't it be nice to be a cool, always keep it breezy. Ooh yeah, but I am not that easy. No, I am who I am, and I am a lot to handle. You do the best you can, but
I'm gonna use that if I were you.
an uphill battle.
Oh, awesome. I will not come back. Hey, Jacob. Hey, I did it again.
Could you focus on me? Got a million memories in my mind, vivid. Or when I was living another life, did it really even wanna take time with it? Images sending from the divine goodness, telling me that I was in a life sentence, but Christ came in with his righteousness. Somehow I really started to vibe with it. Mr. ADHD, could you focus on me? Like, I know I have had my share of big mistakes, and there's so many things that I wish that I could change, but there's still one thing that I say I've gotten right. I can reckon with Christ. Focus on me.
Good morning, Hope Church. Let's stand and worship together. I was buried beneath my shame. Who can carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. In all my failures I tried to hide. It wasn't my turn till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. And now your mercy has saved my soul. And now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you, you called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, oh, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Woo!
Standing here in your presence, in a grace so relentless, I am won by perfect love, wrapped within the arms of heaven, in a peace that lasts forever, sinking there in mercy. See, I'm wide awake, drawing closer by grace, and all my heart is yours. All fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. Oh, your love. When I'm lost, you pursue me. Lift my head to see your glory, Lord of all. So beautiful. Here in you I find shelter, captivated by the splendor of your face. My secret place, I'm wide awake, drawing closer by grace, and oh, my heart is yours. All fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. Oh, your love. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I seek. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Your love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I seek. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. I'm wide awake, drawing closer by grace, and all my heart is yours. All fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. Oh, your love. So deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I see. You are my everything. Jesus Christ, you are my one desire. Lord, hear my only cry to know you all my life. Love so deep is washing over me. Your face is all I seek. You are my
drawing closer by grace, and know my heart is yours. All fear removed, I breathe you in, I lean into your love. Oh, your love.
Good morning, Hope Church. My name's Daniel, and I am extremely sleepy. I have a newborn. He's 5 weeks old, and I'm just really tired. Really.
An idiot is attempting to reach you on your cellular device. An idiot is attempting to reach you on your cellular device. An idiot is attempting to reach you on your cellular device. An idiot.
I've got to take this. I'm really, really sorry. Hey, John, dude,
Daniel.
I told you to call me like an hour and a half ago and wake me up for this.
I just want to make sure you're up.
I am. I'm on stage right now, about to do announcements, and
Hey,
Ryan,
how was your bath? You have a good bath this morning?
I did. I used bath salts. It was nice.
Bath
Okay.
salts, man. That's where it's
Yeah,
at.
I
Hey,
did.
hang on. Hey, dude, I'm on the phone.
So what? But
All right, I'm back, dude. You know how people are, man. They get in front of you and they just start
Yeah.
talking like their call is more important than yours.
I
But listen,
understand, dude.
today, when you get on stage,
Yeah.
I want you to bring up several things.
I'm
there's
already
a few
on
things.
stage.
Oh, all right. Well, what if you start with Sign Up Sundays? Just go from there. I'll
okay,
be here if
yeah.
you need me.
Okay, I'm glad you're here because I was out there and I was singing, trying to wake up, and then Ryan's guitar string snapped and it broke his finger off. His finger's laying on the stage up here, and I forgot everything I was going to say anyway. So
Start with Sign
I'm
Up
real glad.
Sundays.
Yeah, Sign Up Sunday. Okay, cool.
You can do this.
Hey, Sign Up Sundays. I am so full of energy now because John called me, and he's really not an idiot, guys. Anyway, John called Sign Up Sundays. Today is the last Sunday that we're going to remind you about Sign Up Sundays because the last day to sign up is Thursday. So if you don't sign up by the end of the day on Thursday, you can't serve here. I'm just kidding. You can. You can still serve, but by being a part of Sign Up Sunday and letting us know where you want to plug in and how you want to be involved in Hope Church, it helps us plan and prepare to better serve you while you serve God in the kingdom in Paulding County and the world at large. So please, 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 go sign up right now, pull your phone, I'm just kidding, after service, go sign up for Sign Up Sunday. It's going to be awesome. You can pick where you want to plug in, whether it's student ministry or kids downstairs or in the tech team, or if you want to restring Ryan's guitar for him, anything you want to sign up for, you can sign up for it on there. How was that, John?
Man, that was perfect. I could
Cool.
hear everything
Okay.
loud and clear.
Good.
Hey, I want
It's like
you to
you're
also, I need you to also talk about Debt Free 23 and how we're halfway.
Yeah?
And mention this, there's a board off to the left somewhere that I need you to mention where people...
My left?
No, probably stage right.
Oh, over here. Got it.
Bring that up. Go.
Yeah, okay. Hey, Debt Free 23. Last week we got to hear from Narvel about it. He's awesome. Narvel Lassiter. Bam.
Yeah.
Anyway, woo! Debt Free 23. You've been hearing about this for 2.5 years. That means, dun, 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 we're halfway through. Woo! Yes, it's so exciting to be halfway through our initiative to be debt free. And last week we found out that our number on our mortgage begins with a 6 now, not a 7. We are at $687 something thousand left on the mortgage. We paid $658,000 on it. It's wild. We are halfway there with time. We are halfway there with money. And we are currently mailing off $11,000 and some change to the bank that we will be using. When this program is done, we will be using for ministry in this area, in the world around us, and we are going to be freed up for $11,000 a month to do ministry.
Yeah.
And that pumps me up. Like I am the guys that are on this team that do this thing they are business people to the core, and they know how to raise some money and how to get things paid off, and I can get excited about that, but we get to serve Jesus even more, and that is what gets me excited. Now, there's envelopes. I didn't explain this in the first service. So there's envelopes over here. Come grab an envelope. They've got numbers on them. You can put some money in them. If you want to write like a check for $1.2 million and cover everything, that would be great. If you just want to drop in like some pennies, that's cool too. Every little bit helps, and we are excited that you would choose to partner with Hope Church and get this building paid off so that we can go be freed up to do ministry in a great, amazing way. How was that, John?
Dude, that was so perfect. Look, I got this
Yes.
bird on my shoulder that told me to sit down, so I had to rest a little bit. But
Okay.
One thing I want you to, well, there's really two things I want you to mention.
All right.
Let's go over how the Hope Student Ministry started back, and let's talk about giving back, and then really I need you to let me go. Like, this is fun and everything,
okay.
but I got things to do.
I'm sorry, dude.
got majors.
I didn't mean to take
I'm
up
extremely busy.
your time. Okay. I've reached my minute
Okay.
quota for the month, so
All right.
I gotta go.
I love
Bye.
you. Bye.
I love you too, John. Hey, Hope Student Ministry is back. It started on Wednesday last week. It was baller. It was awesome, and not just Hope Student Ministry. Hope Kids or the Edge meets on Wednesdays as well. They're downstairs, and they are 4th and 5th grade, and Hope Student Ministry meets up here, and they are 6th through 12th and college age. So it would be awesome if you would be here, plug into that ministry so that your high school, middle school, and elementary school students can learn more about what we are doing here in this church, in this community, and around the world for Jesus Christ. It's an awesome, fantastic thing. Jacob Tanner is the youth pastor for HSM. Meredith and Rebecca hang out with your kids downstairs for Edge, and it is awesome. So please be there, because it's like everybody can come. Everybody just come to Hope Student Ministry. It's awesome. Just see what it's all about. There were PVC pipes like 9 feet high over here earlier, and it was wild. Some 9 square, air square, some square thing that they did. It was really cool. PVC pipe everywhere. It was really cool. It was dope. Anyway, check that out. It's cool. Meredith would love to have your kids downstairs for Edge. And if you are watching online still and you were wondering, you were curious, if on Sunday morning we have an area for your kids to go, we do. At the 10:30 service, we are we're opening up the child care services in Discoveryland, and Hope Kids is meeting downstairs with your elementary school kids. It's an awesome place. Right now below me, there are kids, including my very own 4-year-old Andy. He is downstairs right now, rocking out, learning about Jesus, and hey, be quiet down there. Anyway, they're down there having an awesome time, and it's awesome what things are starting to kick back up now that we can be in person for worship. Now, giving back is the next topic. It's what we're going to talk about now. Giving back is a little different because of how we're doing the social distance stuff and whatnot. There's baskets in the back by the door. There are other ways to give. There's kiosks in the lobby. You can give online. You can pull out your phone and text right now and give a little bit. Tithing and giving back is part of how we give back and partner with God financially to be a part of what He's doing here in this church in Paulding County and around the world. And so I want to encourage you to jump in and be a part of how we are serving and how we're able to do this through giving. This is through the general fund. This is how we have lights. This is how I have mic. It's how there's a stage. It's how there's anything at all that happens for this church on a general fund connection where we get to be the hands and feet of Jesus every single day. So I want to thank you for being a part of it. You're all awesome, and I just can't wait to see what's going to happen over the coming months as we get back into in-person worship. So thank you for being here. Let's pray and get back into worship with a new guitar string. Yes. God, thank you for today. Thank you for all you're doing here in this place. I ask that you'd be with us as we continue to worship and as we hear an incredible message from Jacob. I just ask that you would continue to move in our midst. Come and be with us as we're sitting here learning. None of it matters if you don't come hang out with us this morning. So we ask that you would come, fill this place with your presence, and that you would make yourself evident to us. Because that's what it's all about. We want to meet you, we want to know you, and we want to grow in our love and kindness towards others because of you. So thank you, God. We love you, and it's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Come out the sadness from wherever you've been. Come broken hearted, let rescue begin. Come find your mercy, oh sinner, come kneel. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your faith. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are. There's hope for the hopeless and all those who stray. Come sit at the table, come taste the grace. There's rest for the weary, there's rest that endures. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can cure. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are, come as you are. Fall in his arms, come as you are. There's joy for the morning, oh sinner, be still. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. So lay down your burdens, lay down your shame. All who are broken, lift up your face. Oh, wanderer, come home. You're not too far. So lay down your hurt, lay down your heart, come as you are, come as you are, come as you are.
Good morning, Hope Church. If you guys are here with us this morning, we are so excited that you're worshiping with us. If you're watching online, if you're watching afterwards, after our tech team records this on our YouTube page, we are so glad that you are with us and worshiping with us this morning. If we haven't met, my name is Jacob Tanner. I'm the youth pastor and the communications director here at Hope Church. And I want to talk a little bit about the series that we started last week, give you a little introduction before we get going. Last week we started a new series called Uncomfortable. And we asked a question, we said, how many of you guys are uncomfortable? And you're probably like, well, I mean, there's AC. You're sitting next to somebody you like, most likely. They probably took a shower. It's probably good. You're probably not having to get on to anybody. You probably have cool, maybe not plans to do after this. Maybe go eat some lunch. And then Monday you're going to go to work like you do most Mondays or go to school, and it's just going to be fine. You know what I mean? It's just going to be your average Sunday to Monday. So you're probably not uncomfortable. You probably got used to the routine, or maybe you're like wildly stressed like all the time. Either way, we hope that you are comfortable, but this morning, we're going to foster the feeling of being uncomfortable. That's what we're trying to get to. That's what we're hoping for this morning. That's what we want, is to feel uncomfortable. And in the outdoor community, one of the common phrases is seek discomfort, or you can't grow unless you're uncomfortable. We hear that all the time, like in the North Georgia, like hiking and like rock climbing and kayaking and biking community, is you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow, in order to do anything. And so I think that the church has backed down in recent years to fostering being uncomfortable. I feel like the church has tried to stray away and has tried to become comfortable in hopes that we don't draw people away, we don't move people further apart, that instead we just try to be comfortable. And I think there is a place for it. But this morning, we're going to put the rubber to the road. We're going to put the Mighty Mouse in the White House. We're going to get it. We're going to get after it. So we are going to try to be uncomfortable. And I really want us to take our faith seriously. And to do that, we have to be uncomfortable. So we're continuing. Last week was the uncomfortable church. This week is the uncomfortable cross, is what the title of today's sermon is. And if you know me, you know that I love hiking. I love kayaking. I love being outdoors, especially in the North Georgia mountains like Union County, Fannin County, Rabun County. Raymond County is where it's at. Black Rock Mountain, those places. They're all the best. And there's probably not a park up there in North Georgia that I haven't explored or went through or took pictures at. It's just the greatest, man. Like if you go to like Jasper, Georgia and go north, it's just the best place in the world, man. Like you just can't beat it. You really can't. So in the great state of Georgia, the Peach State, in Ellijay, there is Expedition Bigfoot, which claims itself to be the largest Bigfoot museum in the world. And I haven't done the research to make sure that's true, but we're going to go with it because I like it and it's a cool place. And it's a giant Bigfoot museum, and like they have like this cast, like this mold cast of like a Bigfoot foot, and they have like Sasquatch sounds from like all the different years and places. They have like facts about Sasquatch and whatnot. And then they have like this door with like a wax guy like standing behind it, like looking scared, and he's got like an axe like trying to hold the door, and then you have like these big like Bigfoot hands like trying to come over the top, right? But Sasquatch is kind of like a big deal in the North Georgia outdoor and hiking community. And as much as like a lot of people tell other people that they believe in and whatnot, they don't really act like it, you know what I mean? They kind of act like it's like a fairy or something, you know what I mean? They kind of like, oh yeah, it's Sasquatch, Bigfoot. And my granddad, he used to stay up late and watch like A&E and like Discovery and History Channel. And they've got like, the Finding Bigfoot shows and stuff like that. And he would always make jokes about how they would get right to the end and then they would lose them, right? Like you wait 29 minutes and then on the 29th minute and 30 seconds, they're like, oh man, here's the trail and it's gone completely cold. Where could he evaporated into complete thin air? You'll have to find out next week so we can jump our TV views, you know what I mean? And so he used to always like make jokes about how they lose them like right at the end. And so I love this subculture. I really, really, really love this whole like Sasquatch and Bigfoot subculture. And I think to a sense, it's almost necessary to have things like that because it sparks amazement, it sparks wonder, and you have a passion to go and search in a place that you don't know for something, looking for something that you also don't know, and you continue to work towards finding something that you have no idea what you're getting into. And that is so amazing, and you're always in some sort of awe and wonder about what it's going to be like, what it is. And so it's almost necessary to have something like that where you search for something that you don't understand. And it's so cool. And I cannot stress that enough. It pushes you further and you become something better because of it. But on the flip side, imagine Bigfoot for a second. You might be thinking about whatever you've seen on TV or what, the little stickers and stuff about Bigfoot. But turn to the person next to you, the person that you're so glad they're here, by the way, and say what you think Bigfoot is like. So you probably said something to the effect of how you would describe either a gorilla or a bear or a very hairy person, you know what I mean? Something to that effect is probably what you're thinking. And the Expedition Bigfoot Museum that I was talking about earlier, it has a mold of Bigfoot, I was talking about the door with the Bigfoot hands coming across, and his hands are this big, seriously this big. And you're even if the guy, and most likely because he's so huge, the guy's probably going to get pushed down, he's going to throw the axe, and Bigfoot's going to have a little scratch on him, and you're oh no, and then he's going to get all of his groceries or whatever he's trying to get in there to eat. Bigfoot's got to keep up that stature. But even if he gets in, you're he's going to have to crawl through the door because he's so big. Even then he's going to have to bust out the sides. And then once he gets in there, the guy's probably got I don't know, it's a cabin in North Georgia, so it's probably 8-foot, 12-foot ceiling, so he's going to hit his head, you know what I mean? Bigfoot's huge according to the size of the hands at Expedition Bigfoot. And so there's no way this dude's going to do anything to practically hurt Sasquatch him and his axe, you know what I mean? That's not going to you're going to need something bigger. You're going to need some reinforcements there, buddy, to actually hurt Sasquatch. So Sasquatch and Bigfoot, that thing's a beast, an absolute beast. And it would be so scary. It would be beyond scary to actually run across one or actually see the one. I don't know what some people say there's 100 of them, some people say there's one of them, I don't know. But we've kind of domesticated Sasquatch. We've kind of put reins on him. We've kind of treat Sasquatch like he's a pet in a sense, you know what I mean? Which in all reality, Sasquatch would probably make you his pet, you know what I'm saying? Because he's so big, so scary, and you would not want to run across him. But yet we kind of have, in my car, I have a 3-inch air freshener that looks like Bigfoot walking in the woods. And it's you can find them on shirts or on hats and stuff. And so we've kind of domesticated him. And we've kind of put these reins on what Bigfoot is, and we've kind of turned him into a little bit of a big dog or something, if you could think about it that way. And to some degree, hear me out, I think we've done the same thing with the cross. I think we've put the same kind of Sasquatch effect and domesticated the cross. And this morning, I want to kind of unravel that and turn the cross from something that you see on pillows and on necklaces and on shirts that's kind of turned into a fashion symbol back into how a first century reader or the disciples would have looked at the cross. And honestly, I don't believe that Jesus and the disciples would have looked at the cross the same way we do here in America in 2020. They would have had a much different take on it. And that's kind of the point. So to them, the cross was so much more. It was the center of suffering. Jesus and the disciples were living under an oppressive Roman Empire. And if you remember back when I preached in December, I went into great depth about what the Roman Empire was, how oppressive it was. And I remember saying something like, statistics show that the Jewish people living under the Roman Empire were taxed. They were taxed up to 90% of their wage. And so they had 10% to live on, right? And then on top of that, they were also under military rule. Whenever a Roman came by and he was like, hey, give me that, you had to do it, or else you would just, not make it to the next day. We're talking very, very, very oppressive Roman Empire. And they didn't have much. They didn't have a savings account. They didn't have a home. They didn't have a family. And the reason for it, the reason that the disciples didn't have anything to their name was that they decided to follow Jesus. They decided to follow Jesus. So to them, the cross was so much more. It was so much more. So this morning I want to unpack a few passages from the book of Mark, and I kind of want to restore how we approach the cross and how it affects us on the daily, and hopefully, make you uncomfortable. So, Mark chapter 8, that's where we're going to be this morning. And this is probably a passage that you've heard before, but that's what's so cool about some of these biblical stories. Like, you get to read it the first time, you're like, wow, that's profound, man, that's really cool. And then you read it a second time, you're like, that's even more amazing. And then you read it a third time, and you're like, that's like the best thing. There's no way it could possibly be more profound and more amazing than that right there. And then like you dig one level layer deeper, and then you're like, that's it. I'm looking at like the keys to the universe right there, and it's amazing. You know what I mean? So that's what's so cool about these verses that you've probably heard before. And I want to dig to that layer. I want to really get to the meat of it. And if you want a glimpse of what that process looks like, me and Daniel Barron, who's now sitting over there, have a podcast called the Never Ending Jesus Podcast. And it's really cool wordplay because like the verses and the word is like never ending because you keep like going and find different layers right now. That's the wordplay right there. That's it. So, but it also kind of creates a problem too because like this morning we're going to talk about the cross. And like I had to pick one very profound thing to stick to. And it's like there's so much, you know what I mean? So it also kind of can create a problem because you have to find one thing. So anyways, I get aside. Chapter 8, verse 31, that's where we're starting. He says, "Then Jesus began to tell them, the Son of Man must suffer many terrible things and be rejected by the elders, the leading priests, and the teachers of religious law. He would be killed, but 3 days later he would rise from the dead." As he talked about this openly with his disciples, Peter took him aside and began to reprimand him for saying such things. Jesus turned around and looked at his disciples, then reprimanded Peter. "Get away from me," he said. "You are seeing things merely from a human point of view, not from God's." Then calling to the crowd to join his disciples, he said, "If any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake and the sake of the good news, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul?" So you've probably heard that passage before. And I think many times in like, not so much like in a small group setting, but like in this setting, like a church service with somebody on the stage, we tend to hear the word or hear a sermon, and we transpose that onto our grievances with the world, right? We kind of place that and say something like, if only they were here to hear this, or only these people, they really need to get a grasp on this, or that's exactly what our world needs to hear, right? Like we say things like that. And I think that can be a healthy approach, but I think it's the wrong approach for what I want to talk about this morning. And I want to look at it from a different way. And I want to look at it where instead of us reading the Bible, we let the Bible read us. In Hebrews chapter 4, it says, "The word is like a sword that cuts through soul and spirit and bone and flesh." And we hear that as a call to take the Bible as like a water pistol and like charge the conservative or the liberal agendas with, right? Instead of hearing that, it cuts through flesh and bone and soul and spirit, and letting it cut through us, letting it cut through the center of our heart where we have grievances and trouble with other classes, where we have trouble with what's happening in our life. We have trouble with what the doctor told us. We have trouble with how we are approaching the world. Instead of letting somebody else hear that, instead of putting that in somebody else's court, let the Bible read you. Let the Bible cut through you. Let the Bible change you. And then when you do that, the world around you will change. So, that's the kind of the approach I want to take this morning. I want to read Mark's gospel and allow that to grow us instead of us just hearing it and then expecting somebody else to change around us. So, the first point that I want to talk about in reference to take up your cross is that the cross is a form of execution. Jesus tells his disciples and the crowd that has gathered to hear him speak that anyone who wishes to follow him must take up their cross. That's verse 34. And for the most part, American Christianity has kind of tamed the cross. We've lost some of the terror and the barbaricness of the cross. Like I said earlier, like we've put the Sasquatch effect on it, right? Or me and Daniel, we've said a lot the kind of, what is it called, like a preschool effect or something? We've kind of put that effect on it to where to us it's just kind of like another thing that we hear. And in a sense, I think you can translate Jesus' words in verse 34 to something like, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their life sentence. Give up your reputation, give up your wealth, give up your eating, your status, your home, your health, your family, your inheritance, your spouse, anything that you love dear, anything that you can think of that would absolutely crush you, and give it up, and give it up. So the cross is a method of execution, and a profoundly brutal one at that. And Jesus, in Mark chapter 8, hadn't been crucified yet. This was all before they knew that this was going to be like, a metaphor like, oh, Jesus died on a cross kind of thing. Like this was to them a way that the Roman Empire was controlling them, using the cross to strike fear into the people in Israel of the time. So what Jesus was saying is that this isn't going to be comfortable. This will not be comfortable. It will not be comfortable. So what would it have been like if we tried to imagine for a second what would it have been like in Palestine and the wider Roman Empire to see a crucifix, to see the crucifixion happening, hear it being discussed, it happening to somebody you love, any of those things? What would that have been like if we could have imagined that? And I don't think there's really anything in our modern American society that we can compare that to. Like I don't think there's anything that we can really equivalent to what a first century crucifixion would have been like. It was specifically designed to be the ultimate insult to personal dignity, the last word in humiliating and dehumanizing treatment. It was supposed to be a way that you can just take somebody and just make them nobody. Like you can turn somebody of high wealth and status into the next common criminal. You can just absolutely ruin everything about them in just minutes. So degradation was the whole point. Dehumanizing was the whole point. Brutality was the whole point of the cross. And I think if we're not careful, we can lose that. We can begin to lose sight of what actually happened on the cross. And if we miss that, we'll miss what it truly means to be a follower of Jesus. So we cannot forget that the cross is a cruel form of execution. It is the center of suffering. It is the center of voluntary suffering where we approach life stretched out. We approach it stretched out and we are welcoming and we are joyful. And that justifies, because we know that Jesus was there and we know that we can look at the world welcomingly and joyful. That justifies all of the bad things, all of the hardships, all of the diagnoses, all of the issues that are in the world, all of the things that hurt us on a daily basis. That justifies it. So following Jesus means denying ourselves and taking up our own cross. So you have to deny yourself, take up your own cross, like he said. And I think taking up our own cross requires that we deny ourselves to the things of the world that we see as praiseworthy. When we think of taking up our cross, I think one of the common ways it's described is through persecution or martyrdom. That you hear the common story like, these places in the world, Christians are persecuted, and you ought to be prepared for that and help that. And that's true, absolutely true, 100%. And it's going to happen. It's happened in the past, and it will always happen. And we should be prepared for that. That's yes, 100%. But I think taking up our cross can also be much more less extreme daily sacrifices. Much more less extreme daily sacrifices. It may require giving up our autonomy, our consumer mindsets, our pride, our power, our cultural respectability, our wealth, our health, and our comfort. And this is important, Jesus didn't say that we might have to take up our cross. He didn't say that we should take up our cross when it's convenient for us, when it's going to help us, when it's going to benefit us, when it's going to have an impact on our life in a good way in that moment for the next week, and then we're done. He said that you have to take up your cross. If you want to be my follower, you must take up your cross and follow me. So maybe it's even simpler than that. Maybe it's even simpler than giving up those things. Maybe it's just a way that you approach the world. Maybe it's just the way that you look at people, look at things. Maybe it's just a mind shift, right? Taking up your cross can be looking at the world around you with gratitude and with joy. Looking at the world around you with gratitude and with joy. So before you criticize another class, before you criticize another political party, before you criticize another race, before you criticize another church and their moral values and how they're spreading the gospel is different from the way you are doing it, before you can criticize another economic class, an economic group, or an economic status, before you criticize another gender, before you criticize another team's fan base, before you can criticize another family, and before you criticize another human being, an individual, look at them with gratitude. Look at them with gratitude. Be thankful for their influence in your life, and be thankful that God is working in theirs. Be thankful that God is with them just as much as He is with you. And approach the world, life, the things that happen to you, your daily outcomes, your drives, your interactions with other people with that mindset. And I think that can be taking up the cross. So what areas of our life do we need to be willing to make sacrifices? What that way? And it changes the world around you. Because in like clinical psychology, right? Whenever like you go to like a psychologist, you're like, hey man, I've got a problem. And he's like, listen, you think you got one problem, but you actually got like 50 problems, right? And so what the clinical psychologist will do is he breaks down the causes of your problem, of like your like overarching problem. And he breaks down every little thing about it. And then he tells you, like, 1 week, he's like, fix that. Like, do that, and you have to fix it. And then the next week we'll go and go and go and keep going. And you have to do it welcomingly. You have to do it joyfully. And you have to be voluntary. Because the psychologist can't fix your issues for you. Jesus can't fix your issues for you. Jesus can't take up your cross for you. But He invites you to do it with Him. He invites you to do it with Him. So that last one's very important. Voluntarily. Voluntarily, you have to do it. And when they do that, when the person and the clinical psychologist are with the clinical psychologist does that, it turns them it doesn't make them less afraid of the root of their problem, but it makes them more courageous. It's not less afraid, it's more courageous. It is more courageous. And they're more prepared to handle the hardships of life, all the suffering, all the bad things, all whatever's happening in their life that they came there in the first place for. They are willing and more prepared to take that and to handle it because it's not less afraid. They're not less afraid of the problem. They're more courageous. So, Jesus provides the ultimate example. His disciples didn't understand yet, and I say that because, remember, in Mark chapter 8, He hadn't been crucified yet. They didn't know the cross as the place where Jesus died and was raised 3 days later. They knew the cross as the center point of Roman oppression. And Jesus warned of the cost of discipleship before that. He was soon going to be taking up His own cross, the real cross, a crucifixion, where Jesus died and rose 3 days later, and that turns to the center point of the discipleship's ministry afterwards and to our faith today. And Jesus is saying to truly follow Him, you have to follow Him to the cross, the ultimate denial of comfort, of safety, of power, and of wealth. And Jesus, He never asked us to do something, like I said earlier, He never asked us to do something that He has not already done. He goes before us. He sets the perfect example. That's the thing. He sets the perfect example. Not only has He been through all the hardships that we are through, but He has done it, and He has done it well and perfectly because He is Jesus. And so that we may find comfort in sharing His sufferings. I think that's 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 13. But when we take up our own cross, we're never alone. We're never alone. So, you want to follow Jesus. If you want to follow Jesus. And I'm not just talking to the new Christian. I'm not talking to the person who has never been to church or is cynical about church. I'm talking to that person. I'm talking to the person who has been to church when they were baptized at 3 and they haven't been back in a while. I'm talking to the person who is here every single week. I'm talking to the person who is so involved and has all the spiritual practices that we talk about. When I'm talking about that person, you have to join Jesus at the cross. And to be a follower of Christ is to join a journey of abandoning comfort and enduring suffering, a journey that is foolish, in a sense, to the rest of the world, to how we would now describe it. But the only way we can deny ourselves and take up our cross is by remembering that we're not alone and that Jesus has entered into the discomfort he's calling us to, and he has emerged victorious. So you can change your mindset. You can offer grace. You can offer love, because you see that someone else, no matter what they have done or who they are worthy of the cross just like you. And when you change your mindset, you see the world a different way. And us taking up our crosses starts with us. It's not with the government. It's not with the people around you. It's not with your church, but it's with you. And that is profound, because it starts with an individual. And I haven't talked about it yet, but on Wednesday nights, we hang up these banners, 7,400 middle school, 9,800 high school. And those numbers represent how many kids are enrolled in Paulding County high schools. So 7,400 middle schools are Paulding County schools, 7,400 middle schoolers, and 9,800 high schoolers. And the reason that's there is because we always talk about our community and our mission field and how we reach people, but we never give them like a quantifiable number. We never give them a number that they can look at and obtain. So when we say take up our cross, it starts with you. It starts with the individual. So that you can look and you can say, I've taken up my cross. I look at the world joyfully and welcomingly, and I'm prepared for all of that. And then I have 7,399 others, or I have 9,799 others that are just like me, that I can influence, that I can share, that I can begin to welcome, that I can open stretch, and I can welcome them to this life. So let's take our faith seriously, Hope Church. Let's change our mindset. And that can take a ton of work, but it's so worth it. And until we do that and take up our cross, then who are we to criticize the world and others, people in it? Who are we to criticize the outcome of our day? Who are we to criticize the diagnosis from the doctor? Who are we to criticize the other political party? Who are we to criticize the other church? Who are we to criticize the other person or the world itself? And in doing that, and in changing that mindset, we bring heaven, like Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount, we bring heaven to earth every single day, through every action, through every moment. We bring heaven on earth. So when you change your mindset, when you do that, when you look at the world joyfully and voluntarily, then, once you do that, and you see the world differently, all the spiritual practices that we talk about from here, they come as a product. They become as a result of that. You begin to look at your finances and be joyful and thankful for what God's done. You begin to look at the people around you, and you're thankful that you get to serve with them. You begin to see all the different things. You begin to be glad for the job that you cannot stand right now, but you're glad that you get to stop on the way to that job and get a cup of coffee. You're glad that once you get to that job, you get to see one person. You got a really cool chair that they provide, and you get to sit in that chair all day long, man, and it's the best. All those spiritual practices come as a result and as a product from looking at the world joyfully and with gratitude. So, change your mindset. Offer grace. You offer love because you see that someone else, no matter what they have done, are worthy of the cross just like you. And that can take a ton of work. But until we do that, taking up our cross, who are we to criticize the world? So the band, as they come back up, there's one last portion that I want to focus on really quick. You know, it says that when Jesus walked to the hill where he was crucified, he was joyful. Jesus was joyful. He looked joyful. That's it. He took every step to that place, every single step. Not only the weight of the cross on his back, but the weight of the sins and the suffering and the pain of the world. And that is absolutely beautiful. Because Jesus knew the pain of the work camp guard. Jesus knew the sins of the person who committed the crimes that are so heinous that we don't even talk about them in our homes, much less here in church. And right now I think there's kind of like a national conversation that's developing regarding crimes that are just so, they're so bad that it's wrong to even ignore them. It's wrong to even ignore them. And so this national conversation around things that are so barbaric to us But Jesus knew that. Jesus felt that pain. He felt the sin of the person who committed it, and he felt the pain of the victim. He felt the pain of the person who had to live with that. He felt the pain of the family who had to live with that. He felt the pain of everybody around them and of the world and the society that it happened in. And he looked with gratitude. Jesus looked with gratitude and joy because he saw the people in God's creation. Even the Romans that were beating him, carrying him to the cross, even the Jews, his peers, that were just mocking him, that were saying such terrible things to him, after all of this time, he looked at them joyfully. He looked at them joyfully. So, imagine, I don't know, this is like the third time I've asked you to imagine. Imagine, there's a lot of imagination happening this morning. Imagine heaven right where we stand. Like imagine it right here. Imagine heaven right where you stand. Not like a distant promised land, not in that sense, but imagine it right here. And I mean that. I really mean that so seriously. Like I seriously mean that. And in fact, I think that statement should drive our missions. It should drive our ministry. It should drive our church. It should drive our daily lifestyles. It should drive everything that we do. It should drive every action in every moment of the day, is imagining heaven where we stand. And I think we do that, we begin to take up our cross. We do that, we begin to change our mind. When we do that, the world looks different around us. When we do that, when we look at it different, we are taking up our cross, we're making the sacrifice, we're being a disciple, and we are offering grace, we're offering love. That's the mind shift. That's taking up your cross. And that's turning the cross from a pillow, from like a fashion design, into the center of voluntarily suffering. The center of voluntary suffering. And that's love, and that's Jesus. So grace and peace to you, Hope Church.
Let's stand and worship together.
The head that once was crowned with thorns is crowned with glory now. The Savior knelt to wash our feet. Now at his feet we bow. The one who wore our sin and shame, now robed in majesty, the radiance of perfect love now shines for all to see. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. The fear that held us now gives way to him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in me. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise for Christ our King. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. The tomb where soldiers watched in vain was borrowed for 3 days. His body there would not remain. Our God has robbed the grave. Our God has robbed the grave. Your name is victory. All praise will rise for Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise for Christ our King. By your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In your name I come alive to declare your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. He's resurrecting me.
All right, Hope Church. Hey, my challenge for you this week, my challenge, take your faith seriously. Let's take up our cross. Let's let the Bible read us, and let's look at the world joyfully and with gratitude and welcoming everything about it. Have a great week. We went a little long. Have a great week. You guys are amazing.
Really, I got it with no other option. You living in Gotham while I live in truth. Ooh, really, they think it's all like I'm Timmy. Talking that life, I'm like, gimme. Yeah, I live forever infinity. We gon' live forever now. We gon' live forever now. With you, love, we're better, yeah. On this shit forever.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Out with my squad full of zealous, you can't tell a thing. Yelling, yes, I ain't no fetish for amphetamine. Ain't no day of expiration, it's dead evergreen. Death is heading for us, but we yelling with a sting. Bump a song, but my soul never foul out. Call me Paul, cause it's all it got sold out. All the glory I withhold, you got the hold off. Second birthday, my death date was called off. Threw my pride in the red, counted all lost. Split the seas, so my path has been wild off. Ask me why I'm feeling bold, cause I've been delivered. I bow down to him who killed the killer.
We gon' live forever now. We gon' live forever now. With you, love, we're better, yeah. On this shit forever, yeah. Hey, you know I can't believe, thought it was all a dream. Feel like I got some wings, now I'm finally free. We gon' live forever now. On this shit forever, yeah.
I wanna live heaven and earth, the crib. Still in the field, tryna go kick the squeal. I'm on the grill, tryna go flip the reels. Lot of respect from vets, I told you we next, I'm calling my deal. Waited around for numbers to lead the house, they running the spot. Used to go judge some money when I was in Stevenson, then we got caught. Now I believe in Jesus, why would I not? Even though that what I said, they shaking their head, but get what I got. I got the faith with me for real. Give me the plate, the grace, the meal. Look in the sky, the big reveal. Give us some doubt to make the deal. He got the slug, the Louisville. I'm with the guy from Pleasant Hill. And I came in with the soldiers. You better not run up on one of these.
We gon' live forever now. We gon' live forever now.
crumbs out of the bread. Yeah, brought my pops out of the hood. Isn't he good? How can I forget this? My calling, they been capping. You can bang that we been snapping. Love for me is automatic. Yeah, it's Jesus over status. Hey, yeah, now me and my mom is good. Crazy, I waited for this moment. Bless that's understood. Even if God didn't do it, homie, I knew he could. I'm steady winning over demons like I knew I would. Oh,
I gotta testify. Yeah, I'm so free, gotta live for him with the rest of my life. Yeah, sometimes you just don't see it when he blessing your life. Don't wanna miss it no more. Got my knees to the floor. Yeah, it's time to go to war. I had so much on my mind, I could've blacked out. I was working at the store to the trash out. I found true beauty in the rain. I found true peace in the pain. Put my whole life on the line for him. When you live for him, you die for him.
We gon' live forever now. With you, love, we're better, yeah. On this straight forever, yeah. Ay.
Esto fue PLAN, parte del plan. Me paré en Texas con la Biblia en el dash. Dijo you was gon' fast, dije mala mía. I'm just never gon' die, and his grace is long last. Pa' la cultura jugando con esdrújulas. No sea víctima, leyendo mal la brújula. Cuando llamé a mami dije llama a la prensa. Con mi poca vergüenza y ahora soy sinvergüenza.
He gave me life like husband and wife. I told him I stand by that. Like thief in the night, this thing out of sight. No way that I'm back and back. Woo. Exit left, I left, so great to feed the meter. Since 05, they go down that new school, we the leaders.
We gon' live forever now.
Live forever now.
We gon' live forever now.
I'm living heaven bound.
With you, love, we're better, yeah.
I'm feeling better now.
On this straight forever.
You came down, but won't let us down.
You know I can't believe that it was all a dream. But I got to win. Now I'm finally free.
We gon' live forever now. On this straight forever.
can't let it go when the moment passes. I guess I'm only average. Blessings always come, but they go the fastest. I can't hold it back no more. I can't hold it back no more. Yeah, know you got a lot to give. Yeah, I've been on the longest